Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Sunday, everyone. Sorry I'm late, but I'm here. And as always, we just want to thank God for everything He's done. So before I ask Him for anything, before I ask Him to bless whatever He gave me to say, I just want to thank Him for everything He's already done. We're thanking Him for traveling mercy, as always. We're thanking Him that our family circle has not been broken. We're thanking Him that He didn't make our bed our cooling board. And we're thanking Him that our last night was not our last night. Hey, Reverend Marshall, I see you, Reverend Terry. So good morning. As you come in, we're asking prayer for those that are bereaved this morning. We're asking a special prayer for one of my daughters, Jennifer Brooks Bill. Her father, she's a PK, and she's having some struggles right now. She's in the hospital. I'm not breaking any HIPAA laws because she's been posting, her family's been posting. So if you just, in your prayer time, just lift up her name, Jennifer Bill. She's a wonderful young woman. She's like one of my daughters from another mother. So we want to keep her lifted up. Hey, Auntie, all of those that are going into your first Christmas with the loss of a loved one. I think they're all tough, but it seems like the first one may be a little tougher than all the rest. Praying for all those that are like in a state of depression, having some dealing with some anxiety, all the things that happen between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I see everyone. Hey, Nikki. Hey, Gina. So we're just lifting you up. We're just thanking God that the church family has not been, family circle has not been broken as far as we know. Please keep our children lifted up in your prayer. The devil is busy messing with them and trying to get them to do stuff. And some of them are falling prey. And all we can do really is just pray for them. And so because I'm running behind, I don't want to hold everybody up. Hey, sissy. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I want to talk about communication this morning. And I want to say right off the bat, proper communication is key. It's so key. If you don't know how to communicate with anybody, so it doesn't matter what kind of relationship or that you're in with this person, whether it's professional, whether it's relational, whether it's a romantic relationship, if you don't know how to communicate, chances are you're going to have a hard time. Hey, Mom. I believe that a lot of relationships, husband and wives, fiancés, people like that, I believe that communication is the reason that most people don't make it. Now, I know they say financial and all that stuff, but if you can't communicate about your finances, it still goes back to communication. So I'm calling this, let's talk about closed loop communication. Closed loop communication. So my sister is on here who is a trained therapist. And me being a former psych nurse, but always a psych nurse, I understand the importance of closed loop communication. Now, for those that have never heard of it, think about a circle or a loop. And if it's not closed, there's an opening, there's a break in it. So there's ways that things can be misunderstood or miscommunicated. So I found out that with closed loop communication, the person receiving the instruction or the information repeats it back to make sure the message is understood correctly. And in order to close the loop, the sender confirms that they heard it by repeating it back. So if I say, I need you to have this document to me by 8 o'clock in the morning. So you're supposed to say, so what I heard you say was, you need this document by 8 o'clock in the morning. I say yes. So we close the loop. So there's no room for error because you heard what I said, because you read it, you said it back to me. And you know, it's amazing how many people don't know about this type of communication or how to do it correctly. Look, just because I know what it means, and trust me, I know what it means, doesn't mean that I do it right all the time. I'm getting better. I'm working harder at it, but I'm 60. You would think that by now I would have it. You might think this type of communication requires more of your time because you say something, they say something back, and then you confirm it. No, it actually saves you time, because if they don't get it right the first time, if they don't get it right out of your mouth, you know what's going to be wasted? Your time, because they're going to do it wrong, and because they didn't say it back to you, so then you got to start from scratch again. So inevitably, this really saves your time. So now there are 3 elements to closed loop communication. There's a sender, there's the actual message, and then the person that's receiving the message. So when it's done right, it means the sender will state their message and the receiver echoes it back word for word. Not what you think I said, not what you heard that I did not say. But when I say word for word, if I tell you I need you to jump 6 feet by 3 o'clock tomorrow morning, you got to tell me you want me to jump 6 feet by 3 o'clock in the morning, and I say yes, because that means you heard exactly what I said. So if the message is not repeated back correctly, the sender says nope, and we'll start over again. Hey, Auntie Gerald. So let me give you a good example of a need for a closed loop communication. Think about the back and forth communication between a pilot and air traffic control. Now, I liken air traffic control to the anesthesiologist in the operating room. The surgeon may be the pilot. The surgeon may be redoing a person's knee, putting a nice new shiny knee in there. But if the anesthesiologist does not keep the patient breathing, what good is the new knee or the new hip or the new anything going to do for that patient if they're not breathing? So if the pilot does not give concise, informative communication to the air traffic control base, then lives will be lost. They can be lost, and most times they will be lost. So the pilot talks to air traffic control. Then the voice of air traffic control comes across repeating back exactly what the pilot said. Not what he think he meant. Not, I know you said that you're going to be on this, but I need you to go. No, ma'am. No, sir. Repeat it back exactly what it said, and then get confirmation. Because miscommunication in a case like a pilot and an air traffic controller means destruction, disaster. People on the ground going to die. People in the air going to die. It's just all bad. Now, whenever there's communication breakdown between the sender and the receiver, between me and Al, between me and my kids, between me and my coworkers, many times you're going to have serious problems and people end up getting harmed. So just picture times where you were misunderstood, or you misunderstood someone when you thought you heard them very clear and you were to the point. Because you didn't read it back, say it back to them. So what I hear you saying is, and I want to say, well, I know that he said that I couldn't go out and make a new debt, but I don't think he meant that I couldn't go make a new debt right now. I thought he meant, no, he said what he said, but you should have had better communication skills. So this happens between couples, a lot of couples, especially if you never learn how to communicate. Not all families grow up having good communication skills. Not all. You have some families where the kids are to be seen and not heard. The kids don't have a say. They don't have an opinion, and they can't say, well, I don't think that you're being fair. Like, there's some kids that didn't grow up in a house like that. But then there's some kids that we bring, they come to the table, and when we put our problems out on the table. We didn't grow up with having an opinion, but we made sure our kids had an opinion. But that's just the generation that we came up in. Good or bad, it's just a generation. So it's up to you to do something different. Because if you didn't like not being heard, and if you didn't like not being valued by your opinion, then why would you think your kids would like it? They wouldn't. Miscommunication happens between co-workers, friends, family members, especially family members when there's a life and death situation, when there's a sickness and mama's sick or daddy's sick, and one person is getting all the information and dispersing it, but everybody's hearing different things. That's why you got to bring everybody to the table so that everybody can hear what you're saying and then ask questions, or then say what I hear you saying, that daddy said he didn't want to be on life support, because that's all that's going to be. You didn't close the loop. Now, as a nurse, if a doctor gives me an order and I didn't get it right because I didn't take time to repeat back to them for clarification, I didn't take time to close the loop, then I could cause harm to my patient, even death. As a mother giving instructions to my children on what they need to do, if they don't repeat back to me Hasim, if Hasim not looking at me and repeat back to me exactly what I said that he needs to do, there's a good chance there's going to be a misunderstanding and something's going to get mixed up and something not going to get paid or something not going to get fixed or something, because he didn't repeat it back to me. So I didn't close the loop. I didn't say, what did I just say? And sometimes you think that's stupid, that I know what you just said. No. Then if you know what I just said, tell me, what did I just say? What did you just hear me say? And if it's wrong, I could clarify it for you. I could correct it so that we're all on the same page. Good morning, Nancy. I told you there are times when families are completely torn apart because they don't close the loop in communication. I thought that I talked about this before. I thought will get you in a world of trouble. I thought that what they meant, I know what they said, but I thought nobody's asking you to think. We're saying, did you hear exactly what I said? And then do what I asked you to do. So now listen, another thing that I think is important when it comes to closed loop communication, and this is where I'm coming in hot, is to listen to the entire message before you reply. I'm not going to call anybody's name out because it starts with me. But when you're in a conversation with someone, listen to their entire conversation before you interrupt, before you interject, or before you reply. Because if you don't listen to the entire message, you're going to miss something. You're going to misunderstand something, and then you're going to go off in left field somewhere. Now, this sometimes is a problem for me, but as for many of you, because I see y'all on here, but I'm intentional. I am intentional about getting better with this, because up until the last couple of years, I had a bad habit of cutting people off in the middle of their statement or their conversation and responding before they even finish. And then they're like, that's not what I was even talking about. But here I am. Now I got to backpedal because I couldn't control my mouth and I couldn't wait 10 more seconds for them to finish before I responded. And you know what happens? I realized that I didn't like it when other people cut me off before I finish. So I worked really hard, and I promise you, I'm intentional about not doing this to people. Once they finish their statement, then I say, can I respond now? And then they let me respond. Because I know you guys have walked up on people or heard people saying they're having a conversation, it gets heated. And the person says, wait, let me finish. Please let me finish. That means the person that they're talking to is not even listening to the entire conversation. You're just waiting for them to catch a breath or take a breath so you can jump and pounce. But then you're pouncing to the wrong thing. Shut up and listen. Be quiet and just listen. Let me finish. And then when I finish, you have at it. But let me finish. And I know when I have done that to Al, and didn't let him finish, he'll just walk away and say, well, you know it, you got it, so go on. And I've done this to other people. I've tried to, and I'm giving instructions, and it's a person I work with, they'll say, oh, I know. So then I'll walk away. Because, I told you my walkaway game is strong. And they'll say, no, what were you getting ready to say? I wasn't getting ready to say anything because you said you knew. So you figure it out. Since you didn't take the time to let me finish what I was saying, you figure out what you think I was trying to tell you. So it bugs me to no end that when you see somebody trying to talk and another person just, let me finish. Be quiet and let me finish, please. So I'm saying, listen to the entire message, because they might start out saying something that you didn't like, or that didn't sit well with you, or you took personal. But then let them come all the way to the end and bring it full circle. And then it might end up like, so you weren't throwing off on me. Oh, you weren't throwing shade on me. You were trying to make your point. But if you don't wait to the end, you already done jumped in feet first. And now there's a misunderstanding. There's miscommunication. There's hard feelings because you didn't be quiet long enough to let me finish. So the person that's doing the interrupting is supposed to be listening. And you can't listen and interrupt at the same time. It's impossible for me to say, I'm listening to you while I'm talking to you. I'm listening to you. I know what you're saying, but you're not listening. Because if you were listening, your mouth wouldn't be moving. Sound wouldn't be coming out of your mouth if you were actually listening. So please, when you're dealing with people, I don't care if it's the grocery clerk. I don't care if it's the man changing your oil and he's trying to tell you, yeah, I'm changing your oil. But also don't cut them off. Let him finish, because your answer is going to be the same whether he says, okay, you need some tires and you need rotors. And I know you came in for an oil change, but we also found these problems. Instead of cutting them off, let them tell you the problems. Let them tell you what they found. And you're either going to say, thank you, but I'm not prepared today to get that stuff fixed. I just came in for my oil change. Or you're going to say, thank you for discovering that those things fix A, B, but not C. But if you cut them off, if I'm the mechanic and I'm trying to tell you your brakes are about to go, your tires are bald, and you cut me off, okay, well, your oil's changed. So you go ahead and take them inner tubes that you riding on and have at it. But don't say I didn't try to warn you. So the type of behavior where you're always interrupting people before they finish, before you let them finish, makes people not want to talk to you. Make people not want to even have a conversation with you and don't even give you a chance. I'm telling you, I worked with people like this. Especially people that you'll come into the room, they'll come into the room and I'm already in there talking, and somebody's already talking, and you jump in. You don't even know what we were talking about. You don't even know who we were talking about. You don't even know what was being said. But because you don't know how to listen and let people finish, you look foolish. And so from that point on, when you walk into the room, everybody gonna stop talking because they don't want to hear you. So, and don't be the kind of person that only listens long enough until a person takes a breath so you can jump in, because you're not looking for resolution. You don't want to really hear what they got to say. You want to make your statement. You want to talk. And what you're talking about ain't make no sense. So you're not really listening. You got to learn how to listen better. You got to learn how to do closed loop communication. I'm telling you, I learned about this years ago, and I'm still trying to master it. And if we learn how to master it, I promise you, there will be there will be less miscommunication, misunderstanding, and hard feelings and people being upset with you. Make somebody say, now, what did I just say to you? Because you also can use that as a way of seeing how people think and how their mind works. Because if they don't give it back to you word for word that you gave it, they're not interested. They already want to make up. Their mind is already made up. I know you said you want this paper by 8 o'clock in the morning, but I got something to do, so I'm not gonna be able to get it to you by 8. That's not the conversation we had. I said this. And it works with co-workers, it works with family members, especially when there's a sick loved one and the elder, and then there's several kids. Everybody got to be at the table. Everybody got to be there sitting, hearing the same thing from the doctor, or hearing the same thing from the one that's been made the medical power of attorney or the power of attorney. Everybody got to come to the table. Voice your concerns after that person finishes. Let the person finish and then voice your concern. Close the loop at that point. But if I say something to you and you give it back to me what you think you heard, we're going to start over again because that's not what I said. So let's try this again. And don't get mad because I'm saying, let's try this again. I need you to do A, B, and C by this time. Now, what did I just say to you? And you can see whether or not they're interested in some kind of resolution, having some kind of relationship with you, a working relationship. And if they don't, it's okay. Honestly, it's okay. Because you don't really have time for a whole bunch of people anyway, and they mess. Especially people that don't want to listen and don't want to take counsel and they're not interested in resolution. They're interested in talking and getting their point across, no matter how dumb their point is. Sorry. All right, listen, listen. Look up closed loop communication. It sounds just like the words are. So if you close the loop, there's no holes, there's no gaps, and there's no way that there can be miscommunication or misunderstanding. Because I said this, you repeated back exactly what I said, and I gave you an affirmative. If you don't repeat it back just like I gave it to you, then we'll start again until we get it right. Then we'll close the loop. Sometimes you might not be able to close the loop during that conversation. Because you got some people that are hot-headed, some people that know everything, but don't know nothing. They know everything, except how to fix their situation. Okay, I'm not going to go script, but they know everything except what they need to do to get their situation straight. So make sure you learn how to close the loop. Maybe you're the one that needs to learn how to be quiet and let people finish and then say what you have to say. And if that's you, that's okay. If that's you, that's okay. We all can learn. Every day there's a new day. New mercies every day to get it right. I'm telling you, I'm still working on it. And I learned this in nursing school 32 years ago. And I'm still working on it daily. Because I understand that when I'm talking, when someone is talking and I'm interrupting them, they're done talking to me. They've checked out. And so I don't get another chance to cut them off. And I don't like that. And I don't like if somebody does it to me. So grow up in your communication skills and learn how to listen and then respond. Make sure you listen to the entire message, because if you don't, you're going to miss something. You know how many times I've answered questions and they're like, that's not even what I was talking about, but you were so busy trying to interrupt, you didn't give me a chance to finish. So never mind, go ahead with it. And I didn't like the way that felt. So I didn't like the way it felt with me, so I'm sure nobody likes if I do it to them. So I'm doing better. I'm being intentional, and I'm begging some of y'all on here, be intentional about learning how to listen. Be intentional with it. All right, listen, you all have a blessed week. Anybody that's traveling this week, be safe. I'm asking Godspeed for you. And I plan on being on next Sunday, which is Christmas Eve. But I'm hoping everybody have a blessed week. And I'll see you next week. And if you think, because I know I see you guys on here. If you think you have people that need this message and need to do better with their communication skills, share it, and say, Float wanted me to send you this. All right, you have a blessed week.